This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So in today's session, I'll be continuing the basics, and under the basics, we are focusing on a very important method of communication of data. That is like when you want to do a communication between systems, I can say servers, I can say we are dependent on using preferred languages, and out of which JSON, another one is YAML, is my preferred tool. So in this session, my focus is completely on evaluating what is JSON, why JSON, and how to use JSON, and what is YAML and how to use YAML. Without wasting time, let's get into the topic now. What does JSON stands for? It stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Acronym for JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. It has become very popular over a period of time and very much popular across the DevOps community because of the simple fact it's very simple to start and easy to use, and it's very much lightweight. It is primarily used with the target to exchange the data. So the simplicity of JSON is that it can easily be understood by humans, and also it can be easily understood by machines. Because of the simplicity of the understanding given to the humans based on JSON, and as well as it's becoming very much popular for to communicate the data from or exchange the data from a client to a server. The concept of JSON is built on the principles of JavaScript. The point is, you don't need to learn any kind of Java programming here, but the basics are being formulated on the JavaScript. It is very much that it's an independent language. What do you mean by independent? You don't need to download any compiler, install on your operating system, and make JSON work. Then how does JSON gets recognized? When you put the extension for a file with the form of .json, your compiler or your system can understand that it is a .json file, and Atom can readily read your files, JSON files. So once you got overview of JSON files, or what is JSON all about, it is important for us to understand the structure of JSON. How do you go ahead and write a JSON? The JSON writing is done with the help of two things. Key for the item, value, that is the value for its the given key. The best example that I can give you is key is the name and the value is the value that you want to give. For example, Kumar is a key value. Now under the value list, now you can look at the different, there can be different values, the different data structures that it supports under the value. It can start from a number. I can send a key and a value can be a number. After that, it supports strings, true or false, Boolean. I can even support an array. I can even pass for a JSON object an array. A JSON object by itself For a JSON key, I can pass a value itself, which is a JSON object by itself. And if you don't pass anything, it will be read as empty. That is null. I can even pass null values into it. So now, continuing the key value pair discussion, I'm going to show you an example of how a key value pair is started. So it starts with raise, that means the start of your JSON object. In this, I have passed three different key value pairs. The first key is given by a name. Put it in double quotes. That is how key is identified. So I'm looking out for a key, and a value is identified on the other part of it. So to distinguish between your key value pair, colon is used. So the colon is a termination for the key, and after that there is a space, and the value is shown in double quotes. So this is now one complete key value pair. There's another key value pair now that identifies the location of that user and the membership associated with user. Now, how to identify different key value pairs separated by comma. So when you separate by comma, that's a key value pair. And then it does close. Right? Now I have closed the object, JSON object. Does writing of the key value pairs in line or in different lines, does that matter? It doesn't matter. The first object, I have picked up three key value pairs: name, location, and the membership. In the second key value pair, I have picked up four values for it. Starting with the key, Williams, location, Oregon, membership, true, and the number I have added. Now let's assume that if this is how, if the data is given to me, or if the data is given as a JSON object, how would I code, or how is that I'm going to read this data when this data is parsed? So this is how the data shall look like. In these both the objects, if the both objects are considered, the common key is the name. And the first entry picks up the key value for it, which is Peter, picked up Peter. Location, it picks up Ohio, and membership is false. But I don't have any kind of entry regarding the number. So I'm expected to store null here because there's nothing. Next, in the second entry, I have the name given as Williams. The location is Oregon, and the membership is true, and the number is given shown up here. So if you people have understood how does a key value pair looks like and how does a key value pair are getting interpreted, can I expect a quick confirmation from everyone so that I can proceed further? Any questions before I proceed to the next? Okay, fine. That's good. Welcome.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead. Your name, please.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Abdul Hadi.
Yeah,
So when we say the first key value pairs, so we don't have number as a key there, right?
correct. You mean today the
So
first entry,
yeah, first name, location, member,
right?
but there is no entry or there is no key as a number. But on the page it says null. But when we don't have the number as a key, then the value, how does the value come as a null when we don't have that, when we don't assign the key value?
Okay, fair. I'll explain you. See, you might be aware of SQL programming where there are some kind of structures, like, for example, if a name is given, you need to have a value. Like, for example, let's take a simple example of employee database. Employee database, let's say the employee database is 01, the first entry, and the name is Mr. Peter, and his employee ID is, and his department. This is how structured data is expected. SQL programming. You might be aware that we have to follow certain standards. There should be an entry, there should be a key,
Okay.
there should be a value. If you don't enter, your system will reject that entry. But the concept of NoSQL has been picked up a lot in recent years, where there there is like no standard sequence or NoSQL, or not only SQL. It's actually not only SQL. People call it as NoSQL. So here you need not to go with the standard schema. That means you have to make sure that, we have to make sure that the data is entered in the right format, followed by employee ID, Peter, department here. So on the basis of NoSQL, if you understand, the JSON systems also works the same. It doesn't follow any kind of standard pattern that, you have to enter your data. So whatever the data that is given to you, it picks up. And the the concept is, if it doesn't have any number, because it doesn't have any key value pair or key for number, so there is only one system that it can do is it can make an entry as null.
Okay.
Got it? Let's say there is another entry which is not there, so which is like, I can do one thing. I can just go ahead and add another JSON object here. So just what I'll do is I'll show you in the next slides when you go ahead and see the live view of it. Then I hope you will be able to get much clarity.
Yeah.
So here, the apologies.
Yeah. No. Go on.
Right. So the point to be taken from this, slide is that here we don't follow any kind of standard SQL method of writing data because of the openness of no binding to particular schema. That is, like, schema is, you have to make sure the entry should happen. For the number, there should be a value for it. We are not constraining users to write that data. So if the data is not picked up, so it does go ahead and make it as null. If the data is picked up, if there is a key, it does pick the value. It doesn't, it's null. So we are
Okay.
taking away the constraint on the schema that user have to write the data. And that is how the birth of NoSQL databases have come in. And one method, just now I'm trying to bring to your notice, is JSON is one method. Via JSON method, I can make an entry of the system. Right. So now, continuing the discussion, I hope you people are aware of what you meant by an array. Array is as simple as, let's say I have an entry which is like multiples of 5. The below example is shown. So the first 4 multiples. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The first entry 5, 10, 15, and 20. So this stores items of similar nature. An array stores items of similar nature. So this is 0, index 1, 2, and 3. Right. So here, if the name of the array is A, so if I have to identify a value that stores in A of 2, the value will be picked as 15. So array, now the point I want to bring is, with the help of an array, I can pass, with the help of JSON, I can even pass to this. May I request someone who is not on mute, you guys can go on mute. Thank you. If you have any questions, please, you can start raising your voice. You can start asking questions. Right? Thank you so much. So the point is, can I pass an array as a reference as an object into JSON? Very much yes. In the given example, I'm showing you how to pass indexes, which is an array that consists of multiples of 5, 10, 15. Now, if I have to reference that indexes of 2, the value will be popped up as 15. Likewise, if I would have picked up indexes or names of 4, what is the value, people, that you can expect? What is the value can you expect?
Null.
Right. So you can expect null because there is no value at all, right? Names of 0 is John, names of 1 is Elizabeth, names of 2 is Mary. There is no 3 and 4. There is no value for it. People can expect quick confirmation from all of you, and I can proceed further. Yeah. Any questions, any doubts on this? Welcome. Thank you. Now, let's continue with another example so that it can give you a live view of how, or it can give you the best way to interpret how JSON looks like. So I brought a JSON file, JSON script. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get started by copying this. And if you want to get started, there are plenty of ways to get started. You will come across scenarios where you need to understand entire JSON or YAML, people. It's all about formatting and how fast you can understand the format and read that format. I'll tell you the reason why I'm stressing on JSON and YAML over the period of time. For a period of you'll understand why JSON and YAML. But for now, let's start to focus on it. So for that, we have plenty of options. Like I can say JSON viewer. I would like to view the contents over the JSON viewer. So JSON viewer.stack.view is one example. Which is something that you can start reading your JSON. So let me make. Okay, I hope the screen is clear, much visible. Right, thanks. So now it is not in a format that humans can read or humans can understand. Just mention or remove the white spaces. Still, I can't read it. Format. Now, once I do a format, it becomes much clearer for me to read. So in the current scenario, there is a start of the JSON object and this is a close of the JSON object. In that, there are different key value pairs. The first key value pair picks up a user information, name, last name, or what. Key value pair. I am separating those key values by comma and his birthday. Now, I have to take details about his spouse, both her first name and last name. So I created a key and I've passed a JSON object for it. So many people notice it. Now it's a JSON object to start, and in that you can see two key value pairs. Mary, last name is Smith. People, are you now clear? Instead of writing spouse.firstname equal to Mary, the value, I have picked up spouse. I made it as a JSON object to simplify it. In that, there are two values that I'm trying to retrieve: first name and last name. For the JSON object spouse, there are two values. So whenever I want to read the data, how is that I'll read the last name spouse.last name? I'll be able to retrieve Smith. Spouse.first name equal to Mary. Can expect another confirmation from all of you there so that I can proceed further, that you people are understanding. Any questions till now, people? Any questions? People, is this topic
Yeah, it's clear.
boring? Thank you. Is this topic boring, guys?
No, not much.
So the point why I'm highlighting about this is there will be scenarios where you will see the data which is visible to us or the data that would be given to us will be in a particular format, especially in a formats like JSON or YAML formats, especially on AWS Cloud. So at that point of time, when or if the scenario is like you don't have any kind of basic knowledge of what is JSON and YAML, and readily I start using JSON and YAML. So it would be very tough for you guys to go back and learn what is JSON and YAML. So that is why I'm spending time even before we go ahead and start doing the actual clouds scenarios, trying to give you scenarios where the importance of infrastructure and how do you go ahead and connect write an infrastructure. So in that case, JSON is one method. If you look at the Azure cloud, you will see JSON method of writing, YAML method of writing. You will see many scenarios in Google Cloud. You will see scenarios coming out JSON and YAML. So I hope this learning can help you to understand things much better. So coming back to the discussion where we started, so now I'm coming to a point where I need to gather addresses. I have to calculate now I have to store the addresses. There is a possibility that user might have one address, two address, or even more than that. There's a possibility. One might be his office, one might be his home, one might be his billing address. So here in this case, I can see addresses can be taken as an array which consists of two objects. It's an array. And in that array, there are two objects. Object number one, the object number two. Two objects. First object speaks about his home, his address at home, and the second object speaks about his work. The description given. Now, in that, there are certain key value pairs picked up. Key value pair picked up. Now, if you want to see how does the system looks like, click a viewer. You'll see how does the system get stored. So you can see under the spouse name, first name and last name are picked up. There's a JSON object, start of the JSON object, key value pairs, first name, last name, birthday, spouse, first name, last name, and this is how address is stored. That's where your array. So array, the first object, 0. Second object, 1. So in this, you can see guys how the values are picked up. Now, if I post a question to all of you, addresses of 0.city, what value can you expect from the reference?
Atlanta.
Right. In both the cases, the answer is Atlanta. So let me just make some change here. So let me this system picked up. Now it should be easy for you to understand. So addresses of 0. I can say city. So it should be Texas because I'm giving the addresses of 0 picking up. Now, if this is a way, can I go ahead and even write my own structure of data without any dependencies? I can write. I can remove the postal code, okay, and I can remove the street. Because why is that I'm doing here? Just to show you, is that mandate that every object inside this key value pair should have same values in it, just because does it have any constraint for me to pick all the key value pairs in it? Let's check. No, it ain't. In this, I can see postal code was there. Now, postal code, I have removed it. Does that any kind of constraint, bringing any constraint for me to definitely use postal code? The answer is very much no. So people, this kind of system you will see in NoSQL databases, right? NoSQL databases brings the concept of making it simple and no complex method of writing your schemas that you have to write postal code. You should have a postal code key, or you should have the postal code column where you have to make an entry. Making an entry or no, it is not, but you have to make sure the postal code should be available. So we're trying to make the user constrained to enter the data. Here, this not even picking up the postal code for the user. In the same way, back onto
Sir,
this
I
now.
had a question, sir.
Okay, please post your question here.
Sir, shouldn't the spouse section also be considered as an array?
Which one you mentioned? Sorry.
Sir, in the starting of this file, the spouse section is enclosed in flower braces, no, sir?
I'm just checking out your question here. What is that you mentioned? Spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Why isn't that not an array, sir?
Okay. So array means different values I have to pick. See, this is one value. I have to pick information. How to make it. Okay. So addresses. Address. If you look at an address has multiple values in it, like home, work, and there can be an. But here in this scenario, the spouse is just an additional information for one single object. There's only one single object. For that, I have to take an additional information. Here, multiple objects. Multiple objects mean multiple values, like for home, for work. So there are two different values. In the same way, if you look at a phone number can be of multiple choice.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you look at phone numbers also, phone numbers, there are two objects that I have to refer. First object speaks about home. Second object speaks about the reference of mobile. So for home, this is a number. For the mobile, this is a number. Yeah?
Sir, so basically what does the flower braces indicate in this viewer?
This one here, you mean? These numbers? These flower braces?
Yes, yes.
That's a complete object.
Okay.
Because if you miss one object, let's say you don't write this. That invalid JSON object. Now it has to know where is the start and where is the close for the object. This is how you start for the object. This is the close for your object inside that key value pairs.
Okay.
If you even miss one comma, let's check invalid, because it doesn't know what is this key. It understands what is this key, but it doesn't know what is this key and value, because there is no distinction between it. Even if I go ahead and write next to that, doesn't recognize it. So there should be distinction between two key value pairs. So now put a comma. Now this one key, it's another key. It's not picked up. It is not picking up. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what exactly I want you guys to take away from this session is, people, is that tomorrow if I give you a JSON script, how good, how fast, how good are you at reading that JSON file? I'm not expecting that today you will be able to write a JSON file. That is not my aim. My aim is, if a JSON object or a JSON file is given to you, are you in a position to read that file? Are you in that position to understand the contents of the file? Can you break down that file? So this is what I want you to do. So when you get some time, just go ahead and start using JSON formatters. There are plenty of JSON formatters, online formatters that are available. Just type in JSON formatters. You'll get plenty of formatters. You can start writing your own JSON object. So you may get started by writing your own JSON object. Let's say you want to get started with this key value pair, name, validate it, giving me an error because there is no corresponding value for it. Did I write any mistake in this? Give me a moment. What is that? Key value pair. Give me a moment. Can you write anything here? Yeah, this is how your day-to-day challenges will happen. This is a key value pair. Can anyone spot any kind of mistake that I've written here, people? This is a key, this is a value.
Side name.
Double colon is available here. I have written here. No. Yep. There it is. There. Can anyone spot? I am not able to see. Yes. This. Yeah, it's not valid.
Sir, that colon is there. No, don't give space, I think, before name.
That shouldn't be an issue.
No, not
Okay.
there. The name, double quotes and space, and then colon is there. Remove that space.
Oh, actually, what happened initially when I typed it, I guess it couldn't read it. Now it is able to read it. So these things, space shouldn't be an issue. I just was checking whether the space gave any kind of issue. No. Now it is valid. I think it was not able to check once. Now it is able to check. Now I can start writing another key value pair. Let's say the key value pair I want to give an entry is my cloud 1, 2, 3. It's now validating key value pairs. So the point is, pick up any formatter over online, spend your time playing with it. It would be good if you spend your time because this will help you to better understand how to write a JSON object, write a JSON file. That should be the way I want you to get started. Okay, so can I expect quick confirmation from all of you there regarding the JSON reading, how to read a JSON file, how to understand JSON scripting? If you are giving me a confirmation, then we can proceed further for the next topic, which is all about YAML.
Yes, you can go further. For me, I'm good.
Any kind of challenges, people? People, any kind of challenges? How can I help you? There was someone trying to reach. Fine. This has become my favorite, especially when I kind of write any kind of configuration. Initially, it was very tough for me to adapt to YAML, but nowadays the usage of YAML is even more than that of your JSON. So some people term it as it's another markup language, whereas some people call it as YAML ain't a markup language. But if you look at the official documentation for YAML, YAML is not a markup language. That is, YAML ain't a markup language. This is the acronym for YAML. YAML ain't a markup language. This is also very popular because of its simple method of writing your data, because of friendliness that it brings in writing it. The way you write your data makes it easier for you to get started. So, how to make sure that your file can be understood a YAML file? What you need to do is you need to put an extension .yml. Also, it is not that you should only put YAML. You can even use .yaml. In both methods, your YAML file will be recognized. .yml and .yaml. The moment you make it as YAML, the file is read as a YAML file. So another point is, it might be simple for you to get started with YAML, but over a period of time, you will understand that YAML is all about formats. If you know the proper formats, you can easily get started with the YAML. Otherwise, you will end up in a scenario where it is very, very challenging if you don't know the basics of YAML. Though it is a very simple and easy way of scripting, but if you don't know certain basics, it will become tough. So for that, I have brought in some rules involving indentation, colons, and dashes. And I hope this gives you a clear picture how to indent your colons and dashes. So let's get started with the simple rules. The rule of indentation clearly says that when you are given a key value pair, you are required to maintain at least one space after your key. How to understand this? In this scenario, you can see in this example, you can see there's a name, which is a key, which is written in italics. After that, there is at least a space, key space, and there is a value for it. So the point I want to bring here is this key and the value, there's a space. If you don't give that space, what would happen? This becomes an entire key. And there is a chance that it might take this value as null, because it doesn't know what is key value there is. So make sure that you have at least one space. Now the rule of colons, the rule number 2 colon says, similar way what you have to do is you have to give a key value pair. But now assume that there are different values that you have to pick for a given key. So after the colon, make sure that you give space. That is like the name in this example. Sorry, if you look at the name in this example, after the colons, it would have picked null value, but there is a reference that is giving a space here. So after a space, there is a space, there is a value. So now name will be key. Peter is the value for it. Because of the space, inline indentation, it picks up the value as Peter. Now, in the same way, for the Peter, I have two values that has to be accommodated. So what I'll do, I'll give name, put a colon. Now it's a dictionary. What I'll do, I have to go ahead and terminate these trailing with this key value pairs, the first name and the last name. So name followed by space picks up the first name, name followed by last name picks up the last name. And after that, you can see there is a key space. What happens? Name has two entries in it. First name entry and the other one is last name as an entry. So what would happen if you don't follow these standards? Let's assume that you have given a name, a space, after that you have picked up the first name, the entry is done. But without mistakenly, you gave me the last name out of this indentation. So what would happen? This becomes one key value pair, and this becomes another key value pair. People, are you clear with the idea of multiple values and the termination with the help of colons?
No, it comes in effect when we have multiple values or like,
Correct. Sorry, please go ahead.
yeah. So it comes in effect when we have multiple values or multiple key values, like first name and last name, or just in the first example, name, then Peter.
Very good.
How does it?
Right. I'll do it once again. May I have your good name? Sorry.
Abdul Hadi.
Yeah, right. So the first thing is you can see here name, and I could have given space, I could have given a value. Now there's a system that can even allow you to take your value with a space after that a value, which is like Peter in this case. It's done. But assume that I have an entry which needs for me to pick up two different values for the name itself, like the first name and the last name. So what I have to do here is, if I don't allow the space, if I don't allow after the colon the space here, what would happen? Name become null, the first name becomes another key value pair, the last name becomes another key value pair. But I want name to support two different key value pairs or two different entries, which is first name and last name. Then I have to follow the indentation rule with the help of colons. After the colon, I have to give space, the first name, after the last name. So the point why is that I've shown you these two examples is, from the previous example, it could have picked up Peter space value, and also it picks up Peter in another line. After a space, it picks up a value. Also, that in order for me to support different values in it, different entries in it, I have to use space after the colon. Is that clear? Yes, we don't need any traces here. Very good question. Okay, so I would like to pause. I would like to pass my apologies, people, if I'm not able to get your names, and because I'll not be able to view your name, so it would be, good if you guys can just let me know while you start your, question. It would be good if you post your name, and that will be easy for me to connect. Yeah. Thanks, thanks, Abdul. Is that question clear? Is that did
Yes,
you
yes.
right? And let me continue then. One last thing regarding the dashes. What do you mean by dashes? Very, very simple. Let's say I have to carry or I have to store different values. The items which I like, for example, the brands I like. So in this example, I have given brands. Brands are followed in different lines. You can mention them as part of lines, but they should be separated by hyphen, that is dash, followed by space, dash, space, followed by the value, dash, followed by space by the value. That is to represent the items of my choice. A single dash followed by space is used. Why? Because this will capture that the brands. Now, what value, people, can you expect if I go ahead and post a query that says brand of one? What values can you expect in this scenario? What do you expect the value to be posted out here?
Yes,
Sketches.
Sketches.
Because this is 0, this is 1, and this is
yes, yes.
so you can expect sketches. Now, if you do this way, things won't be visible. So what we'll do is we'll start to burn our hands, or we'll start to make our hands dirty by making them live. Let's go ahead and check. Do we have any kind of formatters available for writing YAML formats? Plenty of. So let's go ahead and check YAML formatters. So you have plenty of YAML formatters that are available. YAML formatters, whatever that you have seen, the same method is available. So you don't need any kind of basis here. You don't need, but it is a good recommendation if you follow dashes. That means it's an entry point for the YAML. That's how YAML can be started. So even if you don't write it, there is no harm. So first name. So it picks up null value. If you don't give it, it picks up the null value. Formatted YAML. Space, or if you go don't give it, let's say give a value for it. So it's one complete key. That's not the way that I want things to happen. Space. Now you see key space the value. People, is that clear to all of you? These simple things will eat away your time. That is the reason I'm going to I'm going to the basics that can help you to understand things much better. You don't need braces if you do, even if you write the braces. Let me show you what does happen. No impact. Clear?
Will it have space here? Rajiv Kumar, like in the main value.
Sorry. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, will it accept space here? Like Rajiv Kumar, Rajiv space Kumar in the value?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Rajiv space Kumar. It does. Now, if you go ahead and make it as an entry, another new line. Now, let me put in this way. Just give me a moment. First name, Rajiv. Okay. This is last name. Okay. Now you see how the system starts to read it. Very good format. Now let's start to make some changes. Like instead of formatting it the last name in the same line, indentation has to be followed in the same line. Now you see how does system read this. Now you can see name picks up the first name only, last name it is treating a separate entry. No, that's not the scenario that I want. I want the scenario to be held. The last name, the first name and the last name should be part of the system. Now system reads them as part of it. People, are you now clear how to write different values into it? So when you write a key, different values into it. Now let me add another entry. The entry speaks about addresses. So addresses, as you people are aware, is of different formats. One is I will pass the type of the address that should pick information regarding the home and the value for it. In that, I'll give a location. The location is Hyderabad. Okay, let's do a format. It's not picking up the format. In the same way, let me give another entry here. This is work for Rajiv. He's based out of Bangalore. And his office premises is expected at electronics. What is the mistake in this? Did I make any entry mistake?
Office. After office, there was no space.
Okay. Let me check.
No, electronic city, there is a space here.
Yeah.
Near electronic city.
So after office colon and there is no space before double quotes. In office, yes.
Yeah. Now, thank you, people. In this key value pair, I'm still in JSON. It looks like I'm still in JSON. I hope now it is formatted. Yeah, people, thank you for spotting the mistake. Line number 13, I was writing it. Okay. Now, addresses is done, type and work is done. So, people, do you feel this topic is so boring?
It needs
Do you
practice actually.
feel sleepy regarding this topic? If you feel sleepy, then you should be helping me, because this is something which we have to follow, because this is something I'll show you where is the reference. Is that clear, people? Fine. Okay. Now I'll tell you another way to understand this. Let's pick. Let me just highlight the brands that Mr. All right. Let's say different brands. He likes this one same thing. ASIC, he likes Vibram. People, may I expect you guys to go on mute for another 10 minutes more, and after that I'll definitely take your questions and queries. Yeah. Thank you. Right. So this is the branch, and it has been formatted in this scenario. Now it is very important. Let's say if Vibram is mistakenly given the first preference over A6, does that have any kind of impact? For an individual user, he might feel, okay, the list is done. The branch is given as Vibram, A6, Puma is done for an end user. But in the system entry, branch of 0 is stored as Vibram, branch of 1 is stored as A6, branch of 2 is stored as Puma. So even if we change those values, even if you go ahead and change it, there's a impact on the data retrieval. For an user, okay, for me, let's say if I'm looking at, okay, these are the list of choices. Fine, then what is the harm in it? There is no harm. But in the system, it starts to store branch of 0 is Vibram, branch of 1 is A6 Puma. Okay, we have just learned about a JSON file. We learned about a YAML file. Now I'm going to give you one simple tip, which I feel that should be of great help to you. People, you don't need to remember both of these systems, both of these methods. Pick one. You may get started with JSON, or you may get started with YAML. But one is needed. So if you know one, how can you get things done for the other? Very, very simple. Go ahead and type converters, JSON to YAML converters. There are plenty of converters. When you put a JSON file into it, it will convert into YAML. When you convert YAML to JSON file, there are plenty of tools that are out. So that is the reason I said pick one. If you know one, if you start writing the data in one, it will write. Let's pick very, very simple way. Let's pick up this method, and this one is a YAML method. So let's convert this YAML method. I want to swap this. We do in this way. Convert YAML to JSON. I have a YAML file. Now I want to convert it to JSON. Okay, there you go. What I've done, I've given an input for my YAML. Now I was able to get my JSON. Now, if this JSON is given to you, you have been able to write this method. Swipe. Is there any way to swipe this one? See also JSON to YAML. Now I have JSON file. I have given the document and I'm able to get the JSON. Are you clear? So this is the way that I want you to get started. Picking up one file, picking up one method of writing, you can get things, you can get other things done. I've been using JSON to YAML. This is one live view because when I write a JSON method, it gives me YAML. When I write YAML, it gives me JSON. So now you can write your YAML. This one has picked up. We pick YAML method. Okay, my YAML method is picked up and the relevant JSON method is given. Let me write another JSON object. Let's say comment. This line is an entry. People, are you able to understand the purpose now? When you know JSON, you'll be able to write YAML, and when you know YAML, you'll be able to write JSON. Let's assume that the best way to understand is I want last name to be away, or mistakenly in YAML method you have placed the same error that YAML, instead of giving space, the space went up there outside and the format came out here. Now you can see in the JSON method, the first object, which is name, stores only your first name and the last name is becoming another entry. That is the reason, people, you need to be very much aware of the spaces. Now, what is exactly happening here? The name is in line, but this first name is away. Now, if I write last name, that's an error. In this, because there is a corresponding value for it. Last name. Now, first name, I could have named as surname. Meaning surname. Last name. People say that last name. Now, people, can you understand? For the name, there are two different objects picked up, first name and last name, and the entries relevant to it. So, people, what I want you to do is do the same thing. I want you to play with these method of writing JSON and YAML. If you people have understood it, I would need quick confirmation from everyone there so that I can take this as a confirmation to from all of you people. For those people who couldn't understand it, please raise your concerns, questions. If I can discuss and sort it out, I'll be happy to get it done right at this moment. If not, make an attempt on your own and understand it. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where is this JSON and YAML could be used in our AWS. So what you do is just go ahead and type in AWS documentation. Just for an example, I want you to understand it. So under the documentation, there are plenty of services under AWS. And I want you people to understand that this is how I want you to start reading your documentation. See, on a monthly basis, me and my team, I'll give you the reference and importance of documentation. Please take this. Me and my team, we are partners of our company is a partner company where I work for AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So we are a partner cloud company. We only deal with cloud. So on a regular basis, we do have trainings being conducted by AWS Bangalore. So we travel to Bangalore. Nowadays, we are not traveling. So first thing, they don't give us any kind of documentation. They say, please refer to AWS documentation. Let's say they're starting with a new service. they have highly written, well formatted, highly classic documentation, which you won't find anywhere. So you don't need any kind of special documentation to be given by me in this training. Very simple example. Let's say you want to get started with a service called Elastic Beanstalk. Click on that service. You will reach to the documentation. So there are different ways to get started. HTML method, PDF method, Kindle method, GitHub method. You don't need all that. You just get started with HTML method. This is how I want you to get started. So in this HTML method, you would be given what exactly the service is all about. You would be given steps to get started. When you want to get started with an provisioning of an example, just an example, they have given you the steps here. So this is what exactly we will be doing in our scenarios, in our sessions. So based upon this, based upon a scenario, let's say we get started with a particular scenario. We're going to discuss a particular scenario. We'll deploy that scenario. And in case if you need any kind of assistance, you can reach to the documentation. Because I'll tell you all other drawbacks. What are the other drawbacks that if you don't start reading your documentation? Because AWS has that capacity to add resources, delete resources, or they will, let's say today you may see service called AWS badge. Tomorrow you won't be able to see that badge service. Maybe they'll not keep that service. They'll keep badge service and they make changes in it. So that means if I give you documentation today and tomorrow when you see the documentation has changed, my documentation is irrelevant to you. So that is the reason everybody is being made thoroughly to understand how a documentation, how to reach to a documentation and start picking up the documentation from the official AWS documentation itself. That is how all the architects, developers, administrators, DevOps engineers, whoever it is, have to start to read the documentation. People, have you understood the importance of documentation now? If you don't know how to read the documentation, then you are not going in a right direction, because that's how industry expectations are. Any service, any new service, anything that you want, documentation is the best way to get clear. Okay, so if you have understood the principle of documentation, guys, can I expect a quick confirmation in your chat so that I can proceed further and show you the connection irrelevant to the topic that we have learned today? Okay, fine. So if you look at the AWS documentation, very good way for you to understand, I can say, is CloudFormation. So this is the easiest way. So don't go into the details of what is CloudFormation. Just for an example. Okay, if you look at CloudFormation. So in CloudFormation, okay, an example I'm giving you. Now I will not explain what is CloudFormation, all that stuff. We will have a separate session, a detailed session we will understand. Can you people spot what is this written here? YAML. Did they give any kind of additional reference apart from JSON and YAML? People, did they give any kind of reference here? The point is, by this time, you should be able to read this. Let me just pick up and any kind of challenge. Team, any kind of challenge? Can I help you? Right now, this is a JSON method of writing a CloudFormation template. So in this template, he is trying to give a reference for a template and he's trying to create something out of it. So this is how an infrastructure is written. This is how your infrastructure is being coded. Now these things we will learn when we are in CloudFormation. But the aim is, are you able to understand? Let's say what is exactly one key. This is the key. This is another key here. Resource. He's trying to create a resource. There's one line number 4. It starts line number 4 and the line number ends 13. there's an output, there's a system entries, and this is a closure of. This is what I want you to get started from today. If you start understanding how a template is written, inside the resource section, you can see there's an entry, the name of the stack, the resource is creating is my stack. For this, there's another JSON object. This is what I want you to do. So now, for a period of time, when you get good hands-on with regards to the JSON templates, with regard to YAML templates, then you will be able to write your own templates. Another example of YAML usage, you will come across Kubernetes. YAML you will see in Ansible playbooks. Ansible playbooks are written in YAML. Clear to all of you people? There are scenarios where you will come across this method of writing, and if you don't have these enough basics, then you'll not be able to understand things better. So that is the reason I had made sure in the basics we'll thoroughly cover, or we'll try to understand the importance of JSON and YAML, and make sure that you have enough skill to read, and over a period of time you should be able to write your own files. So if people have understood the agenda for today's discussion, can I expect quick confirmation from everyone there in your chat so that I can take it as a confirmation from all of you there? People, only few are responding. I am not aware of other people. If you guys respond me, then it's a kind of understanding that I can. Thank you. Please start understanding the importance of documentation. If you start reading, I don't want you to start reading entire documentation. Let's say you need a kind of scenario where you need to reach documentation. If you are able to track this method of documentation, guys, that's going to be very, very helpful for you. And anything that you need, AWS has a well documented system, right? You can see there are plenty of services, and they keep on adding the services. Under the DevOps, they have storage services, database services, SDKs they have. So with this, people, I bring up to the closure of this session right now. So before I go ahead and wrap this session for today's discussion, can I expect any kind of questions you have? Please feel free to post your questions. If you don't have, then we will sign off for today. And I'll keep the agenda for tomorrow's session. The agenda for tomorrow's session would be where we will try to provision a virtual machine, and we will start to learn right from the basics of Unix, Linux commands, and understand the importance of the commands that you're going to be using for a period of the course. So I'll try to gather all those commands, and I'll be giving you an expression of each command that we're going to be using and the importance of the commands over the course. So it should be easy for you to gather these commands. Okay. So thank you, admin. I'm done for the recording for the day, and I'm handing over the mic to you.
So for the hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so for that IP addresses, we are done with it.
May I have your name once again?
Abdul Hadi.
Yeah, so if you have shared, because few of students have shared their responses, so it should be good if you can share it, or if you want me to discuss here, I'll be happy to discuss here. So did you kind of written it? Did you have written it? Have you written those IP addresses? Yeah, you can post it. How about other people? Have you sent us the assignment? If you haven't, please send it as across. I mean, just
Hey Rachela, this is Guru.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think in the last class I had raised one concern regarding that Red Hat HTTPD installation. So I'm still not able to do that. Like they are saying some subscription or something is not there.
Okay, I understood it. I'll explain you. See, if my understanding is right, it is because of the keys for the enterprise version. It is because of the enterprise version keys. So I've also checked it because of the dependency for the enterprise keys. You need to go ahead and download the enterprise keys. So it is the dependency that you have. So why don't you go ahead and check the RHEL enterprise version keys I guess it is a keys or enterprise dependency you have. You can go ahead and check the dependency for the keys. If you are able to find the keys, you should run, I think there are 2 to 3 commands that you need to download it and run it. And after that, it will recognize your operating system as fine, and then you can download it. If not, do let me know once again. I checked it. It is saying the dependency of RHEL keys, enterprise keys. Just check it out and do let me know.
Yeah, okay. So like whatever I have installed on that only I can run those commands, enterprise commands to subscribe,
Enterprise
right?
commands, right? So they are not offering. I'm guessing it. I mean, they are not offering any free version of RHEL. For that, you need to download the enterprise keys, and then after that, you can run all your commands. Just check, and if that is the way to confirm it, do let me know.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah, Abdul, you can go ahead and start dropping your. In the meanwhile, I'll open up. So I gave you 192 series or 172 series.
So 172 series.
16. This is my main network. Okay. And I've asked you to work on 100, 200, 500, 1000, 2000, 4000, and 8000. Is that right?
Yes.
You guys can check this 172 series. So the number of IP addresses is given by the task of formula 2 whole power h minus 2 should be greater than or equal to the requirement. So let's put for 100, first 100, and this is equal to 100. So the best value of h I can identify is h equals to 5. So 2 power 5 is 64. H equals to 6. 2 power 6 is 2 power 5 is 32. Sorry, 2 power 6 is 64. H equals to 7. 2 power 7 is 128. So the best value of h preferably is 7. Then n is 32 minus 7, which is 25. 25 series I could have written here as 8, 16, 24, and 1, 25. So all the principles, whenever 172, 8 bits are occupied, so the value is 172, 172, 8 bits are occupied, so I don't need to change the value, which is 31. 8 bits are occupied, the value is 0. I'll continue with 0. 1 bit. So first bit it is 1. So when it is 1, I need to use conversions. So calculator, binary, decimal. So what I can do here is, since it's 1, the first one is 1, followed by all zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 128. So 128/25. So this network is capable enough to accommodate 100 people. Did you get 100? For that you got 25. If you got 25, then your method is right. Next, let's get it for 200. Or shall I make it for 500 people so that it becomes easier for you to understand? Because these numbers are easy, but higher numbers I'll make it. I'll pick up another number for like 1,000.
So
1,000.
one doubt for so binary value of 1 is 10000 or 00001.
So you have to start from left and you have to end up at right. So the first one, that means one digit, you have to take one bit, you have to take and make it 1. So the first bit, when you start from left to right, the first bit itself becomes 1.
For
I'll make
example,
1.
if it was 6 instead of 1, if it was 6, then how the binary value will go?
Let's say if you're writing here as 6, am I right? If your method is right 6.
Yes.
So if it was 6, I would have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 is 0. Because I want to adjust the minimum number. I want to accommodate the minimum number. So the minimum number I will start from left to right because it's a network adjustment that I have to do, right? I have to adjust 6 bits. So first 5 bits and the last 1 bit. If it was 5, I would have written as 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one, 6, 7, 8. So I would have written. That's what I'll show you now for 1,000. I hope that clears your question. So now this is for 100. Now let me continue for 1,000. So the values of h and n, h 128, h equals to 9, 2 power 9 is not sufficient, 512. H equals to 9 is 512. H equals to 10, 2 power 10, which is 1024. The best value of h is 1010, and relevant value of n will become 32 minus 10, which is 22. So how do I write 22? 22 I would have written 8, 16, 6, 22.0. So how should I go ahead and get this thing done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is the number? 4. So it is 172.31.4.0/22. The number which is capable enough to accommodate 1,000 devices. Let me do for 8,000. So the requirement is for 8,000. N is 10, not sufficient. H equals to 11. 2 power 11 is how much? 2048. H equals to 12. 2 power 12 is how much? 4096. H equals to 13. 2 power 13. 8192. So the best value for H would become 13. 2 power 13 minus 2. So it is 19. So 19 can be written in this way. 8, 8, 16, 3.0. So how to write 3 here? If I have to go with the least value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now 31.32.19. Can I expect a quick confirmation from everyone there regarding the numbers, the way that I've converted these numbers? Can you people once again make an attempt? Now people, if you're not able to get it done, no problem at all. When we go on VPC, I'll explain you once again how this process, and also we will confirm whether the numbers are right or wrong. But at least make an attempt on your own. Keep these numbers with you. So when you are able to, when we reach on VPC, on that day, I'll show you the numbers and also verification with the numbers. Are you doing it right or wrong? People, Are you clear now, Abdul? Does that does it
Yes,
make
yes.
does that make more clear?
Yep.
Any other question, people? Okay, fine. So if you don't have any questions, I hope this session was informative to understand the JSON and YAML. I assume that, and we'll meet up tomorrow at same time. Till then, people, I'm signing off for the day. Thank you.